Hi, thanks so much for coming to class today. I'm Becky, and this is Addie. Today we're going to practice yoga for 45 minutes, about that long. And my intention, talk about intentions a lot in class, can be something, right, like philosophical, some kind of energy that you want to draw in or send out. And intention can also be something physical, right? So something to bring yourself into the moment. So today our intention to share is going to be core engagement. So we've got a physical intention together, and you can also bring in anything else that you'd like. That being said, let's go ahead and get started on our backs. So please lie down. Bring your feet to the mat and your back flat. Oh, just gonna move here a little. All right. And you can take your hands, place them anywhere that you would like. Let your eyes close when you're ready to. And look for softness in your back, right? So if it feels better, you can drop your knees together. Find the space between your heels and your hips that works best for your back to soften and kind of flatten down. Make your breath get deeper and smoother. And if you haven't, I invite you to take a hand onto your belly, the other hand kind of just above it, right, with kindness. Just kind of notice how it feels there when you breathe. Sending some gratitude to, right, the center of your core, right? That space around your belly button, right? Your gut intuition, right? That gut in a good way. Space of power, right? And expression, who you are at your core. And then if your knees are together, go ahead and bring them parallel to each other with your feet on the mat. And you can keep your hands where they are. You can set them aside. Actually, let's keep them there. Keep them on your body. So what I want you to do is to lift your low back, kind of arch up. And then on an exhale, you're going to tuck your tailbone, bring your back flat to the mat, and squeeze your belly. And then you can inhale, a little lift of your low back, feel your belly kind of round and open. And then as you exhale, tuck your tailbone, draw your belly button toward your spine, right? Feel that contraction. And do that a few more times. Inhaling, big belly. And then exhaling, flat back. Engage your core like you're sneezing or you're laughing. Sometimes that happens. Okay. And then what you're going to do is take your legs so that your knees are bent 90 degrees and your shins are parallel to the floor. And then reach your arms up straight up like trees from the ground. What we're going to do is called a dead bug. So I want you to extend your left leg away from you and your right arm away from you over your head. So your arm's by your ear. And then exhale like you're moving through mud. Bring your elbow and your arm up and your knee in again. And then switch sides, right? Extend your right leg, take your left arm back, back flat. We're in that flat back feeling. And then slower than you think you can, even slower than you think you should, bring it in. And do that a few more times. So your brain's got to work here on both sides. And our strong core, that flat back, is bringing us back to center. Remember, you're doing this slow, slow, slow. Flex your feet. Pull your shoulder toward your ears. All right, and then the next time that you bring your left arm up, we'll be done with it. You can hug your knees into your chest and get a little rock along your spine. Take your hands behind your thighs and start to rock forward and backward until you come all the way up and then come to tabletop. So you bring your feet around. Sometimes it can be fun to kind of roll through like that, crossing your feet and then sitting back through them. All right, so just a couple cat cows. Flatten your palms, spread your fingers, and then start to move your breath, your spine with your breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Yeah, and just see what's here for you today, what feels like there maybe could be a little bit more of an opportunity to stay in the opening of it. Which areas want to move and which areas want to kind of stay and expand. Notice how your belly drops and your cow pose as your heart opens, your collarbones open. And then exhale, pull your belly button toward your spine as you come up into calf. Okay, come to flat back, tuck your toes, and then lift your knees just like 2 inches off the mat. Right, so one of my favorite ways to wake up your core, keep your neck neutral. So look straight down between your hands. And breathe, right? Can you bring Ujjayi into your breath now if you haven't? In through your nose, out through your nose. Pull your belly button to your spine. Squeeze the muscles in your legs. Take your shoulders away from your ears. 3, 2, downward facing dog. Big stretch. It feels good when you earn it. Right, we've earned to feel good. Pedal it out. Or whatever feels best to you, right? Some people might prefer not to do that with your feet. If you want, maybe even a little bend of your knees to push your tailbone up and your hands down. Feel that more length in your spine. And then from there, if you choose, right, then you can start to press your heels down, bring it into the back of your legs. So just up to you. And if your heels don't touch, that's totally fine. Look forward to your hands come up on your tiptoes. And then try to stay on your tiptoes and bring more weight into your hands as you step forward to standing forward fold. So little tiny steps, belly button to your spine, start to bring more weight into your hands as you come forward. And then go ahead, bring your feet flat and take the bind of your choice, right? Opposite elbow if you want ragdoll. If you know you want to interlace your fingers to get a shoulder stretch already, you could do that. I kind of feel like doing that today. Okay, release your arms if you had a bind. And then toe heel your feet together. So bring your big toes in until they touch or about touching. And then slowly come up to stand. So one vertebra at a time. Straighten your legs as you stand up and then reach up. And bring your hands to prayer at your heart. And just take a moment, kind of bow down into you, to your heart center. Some gratitude for taking the time in your day to listen to your body, be with yourself. Take a deep breath in. Full breath out. Reach your arms up as you inhale. And then grab your right wrist, pull up and over toward your left side. Really exaggerate it. Push your hips as far to the right as you can. And then come back up through center and we'll switch sides the other way. Remember, push, push, push that hip. Push down flat through your feet. Okay, back up. Inhale, reach up, look up. And then forward fold. Exhale, look back behind you through your legs. Halfway lift to a flat back. Inhale. And then step back to high plank. And find your alignment. So you got your hands a little wider than shoulder width distance. If your shoulders are tight, go even wider. It's okay. And your tiptoes of your feet, squeeze the muscles in your legs. Right? Can you find that fire in your glutes, your hamstrings, your quads? And then we'll start to rock a little bit. So you're going to bring the crown of your head forward and then push your heels back. So just a few times of this. If this is no good for you, you don't have to do it. You could also do this with your knees down if you'd like, just kind of more of a forward into a plank and then a little kind of gentle sit back. So a couple more rounds. Okay, and then the next time you shift forward, come to upward facing dog. So lower down halfway, feel your elbows at your chest, and then inhale, open up. Downward facing dog, exhale. Lift your heels, bend your knees, look to your hands and step forward. Release your hands from the mat, come into a gentle bind, ragdoll pose, look back between your biceps. Eyes closed is a great option. And then release your arms, bring your big toes towards each other. Extended mountain rise up. Squeeze your glutes. And then forward fold, exhale, drop the crown of your head toward the floor. Halfway lift crown of your head to the front of your room. High plank. Forearm plank. Bring your forearms parallel to each other, like 11, number 11, and spread your fingers. Come forward on your tiptoes, squeeze your glutes. And a little seesaw, forward and back, forward and back, right? Like your nose is coming forward past your thumbs and then going back. You could do this with your knees down. Remember, just a little sit back and then shift into plank. Wherever you are, engage your body. 3, 2, 1. Drop your knees, drop your belly. We'll come into Sphinx pose. So feel free if you need to, you can adjust your arms. I needed to go a little wider. Tops of your feet push down into your mat. Squeeze the muscles in your legs. Maybe your shins might lift even. And then draw your shoulder blades back. So this is a stretch for the front of your body. A chance to engage the back side. And then slowly lowering. Take your hands wider than your mat. So I don't know if you can see, but hands off your mat and spider your fingers. So your fingers are like a tent. Okay. All right, and then we're gonna do that again. Lift up, squeeze your glutes, super important. And then lift your upper body. Draw your shoulders back. Feel this one more even down through the front side of you. And feel it through the sides of your body, right? What's going on in the lateral sides of your body here. One more inhale. And then slowly lower. Bring your hands back flat. And then take a vinyasa. So if you want to stay down here for cobra with your belly down, or scoot your hands back to the center of your ribs, press up into an upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Lift your heels, bend your knees, look forward, step, or take a little hop to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, fold to chair. Tuck my shirt in. Sit in your chair pose with your heels towards your hips toward your heels. And then bring your hands to prayer at your heart. Pull your belly button in toward your spine Tuck your tailbone and then let your back curve naturally. Tuck your tailbone, back curve naturally. Just notice a couple more rounds. There's different schools of thought on the angle of your tailbone there in this pose. So just noticing and engaging your core to pull your hips forward. Inhaling and exhaling. Stand up, inhale, and forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift. And chaturanga. So hands down, step or take that hot back to bent elbows. Upward facing dog. To downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up. Bring your right knee toward your right tricep. Try to come high toward your right shoulder. And pause. Keep breathing, keep breathing. Bring your elbows back towards your body. So try to bring your elbows towards center. And then maybe you can even lay your left side of your front ribs there on the outside of your left tricep. To stay here, or bring more weight into your hands and see if you can play with picking up your left foot. Right. Downward facing dog. Ooh, it's fun to play around sometimes, right? Lift your left leg up. And let's do it again on this side. So really trying to make that connection high. And then bring your elbows towards each other. You've got to really get those triceps parallel as you can. And then maybe you play with trying to lift up. Downward facing dog, inhale. Warrior one on the right side. Step your right foot forward. Come to the outside edge of your left foot. Yeah, we're gonna be a little sore tomorrow, I think. Tuck your tailbone. All right, so you want your pelvis neutral, and then reach your arms up. Find your drishti, set your eyes at one thing. Ujjayi in your breath. Right, your body's getting the message, you're okay, even though it may be challenging. Warrior two pose. Open here so that your back foot comes parallel to the short edge of your mat and your right toes point forward. Tuck your tailbone under your body and lunge forward into your right knee. Turn your right palm up, reverse your warrior. Slide your left arm down your left leg and reach back through your right arm. If you want to make this more challenging, look up past your right hand. And if you want to modify, look down toward the ground. Okay, back to warrior two. To extended side angle. Bring your right arm down toward your right leg, reach your left arm up. Release your right arm from your knee if it was resting there and push the outside of your right arm against the inside of your right knee to drive your hips forward. And then bring your left hip back toward the space behind you. Yeah, rooted through your feet. Take one more inhale in the pose. Choose what you can do to open up even more. Maybe you look up. And then hands down, you're gonna come to a side plank on the left side. So it's up to you if you wanna keep your left knee lifted or drop it, but step your right leg back and reach your right arm up. Okay, so I'll just turn just so I can see you, but you've got your left arm down, your right arm up. Lift up through your hips like somebody's crawling underneath you, and then lift up through your hips like you're gonna touch the sky with your right hip. Option to look up, option to lift up through your right leg. Reach your left arm over your ear, and then if you have lifted your left leg, bring your left elbow and your left knee towards each other. And then inhale. We've just got two more. I just want to do 3 total. So stay with it. Whatever plank you're in, keep lifting your hips. Option to drop that knee too, right? And then back to high plank. Take a vinyasa to downward facing dog. Take your knees wide, sit back in child's pose. Bring your toes together. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. And then come back up to tabletop. Maybe even taking your hands a little more forward and wide as we move to downward facing dog. Big exhale. Warrior one on the left side. Step your left foot toward your left hand. Push to the outside edge of your right foot as you rise up through your chest. Sink down into your hips. And reach up through your fingers. Right, so engage those muscles in your legs. We're not just kind of here and soft. The point is to pull your muscles towards your bones to draw your left hip back. Right, we talked about that, right? It's how we stay strong when we're stretching. Engage that muscle. To warrior two. So go ahead and open. I'm going to turn just so I can stay seeing you. Okay, you got left foot forward, left knee bent, and we'll reach our arms out. Look past your left middle finger, right? Like your fingers are reaching away, like tug of war, but then pull your shoulder blades together. That's that engagement we're learning. Lunge more and push to the outside edge of your right foot. You should feel a little bit more through your inner thighs opening. And then turn your left palm up and reverse your warrior. Try to keep your left knee opening left, right? Don't let it drop in toward your inner ankle. Instead, we want to be opening. And you'll even feel that through your side body, right? Really lunging to lean back. Such a good stretch. Set your gaze. To warrior two. To extended side angle. Bring your left arm down, reach your right arm up. And then pull that left cheek in toward your body. And release your left arm from your knee if it was resting there. Right, we talked about our hips on the last side, but feel it in your chest here too. So your right shoulder blade comes back behind you and then down toward your spine. And then that goes down your side body too. Crazy, our bodies are beautifully connected. Right, your body has so much to tell you if you listen. One more inhale. And then side plank, you go on the right side, step your left foot back and open up. And then again, let's see, how do I want to do it to even myself? But you've got it. Side plank. An option to lift your top leg. And again, I'll show it modified on this side too. You could also be this variation. And then extend through your top arm. And exhale, crunch your knee and elbow. Inhale. And exhale. If you feel really shaky, look at one spot. Don't move your gaze. It'll help you balance. And breathe. And vinyasa to downward facing dog pose. Big exhale out your mouth. Lift your heels. Bend your knees, look forward, take your feet to your hands, halfway lift, and forward fold. Chair pose, big toes to touch, sit your hips back, and reach your fingers high. Begin to bring a little bit more weight into your right foot. You can keep your arms up or bring your hands to prayer. That'll help balance. Okay, a little bit more weight into your right foot. And then see if maybe you can start to lift your left foot, right? Maybe your heel can come up. Maybe your whole foot can come up. And then bring the weight into your left heel, right heel, excuse me. You're lifting your left leg. And then sit back. Keep your foot flexed. If you want to add some challenge, close your eyes. Ooh. Okay, and then set your left foot down. Inhale, stand up, reach up, and forward fold as you exhale. Feet hips distance, and then take your peace fingers, right? Your first two fingers, and you're gonna hook them between your big toe and your first toe. So you're like hooking them, your fingerprints come to the outside, like pads of your big toes, and drop your head. Keep the bind, and you're not gonna go to a flat back, but lift up as far as you can. So your arms get straighter, your spine gets longer, crown of your head goes forward. And then exhale, pull your elbows wide, drop your head toward the floor, and lift your tailbone toward the ceiling. Shake out your head like you're trying to shake off a hat, a loose scrunchie. And then release your hands from your feet. Fingers got a little numb there. Clap, clap. Okay, chair pose. We'll meet in chair pose. Bring your big toes towards each other and sit your hips back. Turn in again. You got this, guys. Chair pose. Right, arms up if you want the extra challenge. I'm going to go ahead and bring hands to prayer. And then start to shift some more weight to the other side, right? So now you're shifting into your left leg or the other leg. If you switched, it's okay. And just see, right? Can you start to lift your right foot from the floor as you sit your hips back? And if you do lift your foot, flex your foot. I've got a little ankle issue on this side, so I'm going to keep my toes down. But if your foot is lifted, again, belly button toward your spine and flex your foot. Eyes to one spot or closed. And then both feet down. Inhale, stand up, reach up, and forward fold. Take your feet to hips distance, and now we'll do gorilla pose. So bend your knees as much as you can, need to, so that your chest touches your thighs, and then slide your hands under your feet. Right there. So bring your hands so that your toes are towards your wrist crease, and then drop your head again. And just pushing your hamstrings toward the space behind you as you lengthen those muscles in your legs. Lift your belly button toward your spine. And what's going on in your upper back? How do you feel? Where could you relax? Release your hands from your feet. Goddess pose. Take your feet wide, very wide. So you got toes off the edges of this mat here. And then sit your hips down. Use your elbows to open your knees. And then, yeah, from this angle is fine too. So you bring your chest toward your thumbs. So you're not down here with your back arched. It's a lengthening of your spine. This is going to be so good for your low back and your hips as you push your knees open with your elbows. A little sway. And then you can stay here. You can choose to do something else, or let's try crow pose. Crow's good to get into from here. I've been showing you guys the way to come with your feet wider from goddess and play with shifting forward. And then remember, as you want to add more challenge, hands shoulder width distance. And it's that same energy we were doing in that side running man thing where your knee was by your triceps, parallel through your triceps, through your forearms. So we practice those forearm planks. And then shifting forward, claw the mat with your fingerprints. An option to bring your feet towards each other. Right, you're trying to bring the bottoms of your feet to touch. Stay here, release it, or shoot back. Woo, still got it. Elbows bent. Upward facing dog to downward facing dog. Right, it's a practice, it's a playground. Right, some of it's like riding a bike, and then other of it's like, no, discipline required. Easing into this, figuring out what this new way of being is. Lift your heels, bend your knees, take your feet forward, halfway lift, forward fold, extended mountain pose. Reach your arms all the way up, and then exhale your hands to prayer at your heart. And then at your sides, mountain pose. Take your feet hips distance, roll your shoulders back a few times. Eyes open or closed. Roll your shoulders forward a few times. And then take your feet a little wider than your hips. Let's do that little twisting. So arms loose at your sides and just twisting. Keep your feet flat, your knee bends. Look which way you're twisting too. Your gaze is gonna lead your twist. And then if you want, you can start to pick up your heels here, pivot on your feet. What's that change? And the more that your arms come straight out away from you, right? We talked about that one more like a zombie. The stretch goes higher, where you get even more up into your upper back. Okay. And then letting that slowly release. Check it out. All right, great job. Come to standing, mountain pose, arms at your side with your palms forward. Close your eyes if that's all right. Bring the weight even in your legs. And feel yourself grounding down through your feet, not grabbing the mat with your toes. And as you're ready, begin to shift more weight into your right leg. And then lift your left knee up toward your chest. You can open your eyes. Take your left hand to the front of your left knee and draw it up toward your chest. Okay, you can stay here or reach your peace fingers for your left big toe and extend it forward. I'm going to stay with the knee. Reach your right arm up and then draw your right shoulder back. So your shoulder pulls in, your elbow goes back, and begin to open your right leg. So whether you've got your knee or your hip, and then squeeze the muscles in your right leg. Keep your ankle under your hip as much as possible, your hip over your ankle. Okay, back to center, release your leg wherever you're holding on to. Extend your right leg, push away through your heel, and square your hips. 3, 2, knee toward your chest again. And then exhale, release it to the floor, shake it out. Roll out your shoulders, whatever you need. And then we'll get going on the other side. So if you do need to get assistance from any kind of furniture around you or wall, go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and need that for my right ankle. Okay. So feet forward, weight even, and then start to lift your right foot. Keep your toes down, or you can choose to lift up higher and higher. Grab your knee. Stay with your knee or extend, reach through your toe, and then open it up. So squeeze your left glute, holding wherever you'd like to on that right leg to feel the space opening in your inner right thigh. And then pulling back in through that left side, right? It's a lot of opposites coming together to create balance, to create center, right? Who you are at your core. And then bring your leg forward, extend through your right foot, heel away from you. Oh, we didn't, oh, did I say reach up? I'm sorry, draw your shoulder blade back. And then draw it in and exhale, set it down. Shake it out. All right, come to the tops of your mats, please. So you've got plenty of room behind you. And bring your arms down to your sides. Take a big breath in. Bring your hands to prayer as you breathe out. Extended mountain inhale, reach your arms up. Forward fold, exhale it out. And then find your vinyasa, right? Halfway lift to your chaturanga, right to downward facing dog. From here, we're going to come onto our backs. So lots of ways to get there. One of my favorite ways is to kind of cross your legs and sit through them a little bit like we did earlier, but a little different too. So what you do for that is just bring your right knee forward and kind of lay your shin down on an angle. And then you sit back and bring your left leg around. Just, you can try. All right, come to your backs where we started. But we're gonna walk our feet even closer because this time we'll get a back bend, a couple back bends to stretch our bellies and strengthen our spines. Okay, so hips and heels close to each other, so you can even touch them. And then lift your hips up. Your chest up. Maybe you can get your shoulders more together, interlace your fingers if that's an option for you. And if you can interlace your fingers, start to work on bringing the heels of your hands together. And that's a way to get even more stretch. And then maybe you even notice and you switch sometimes, get out of your default. Squeeze like you've got a block between your thighs. And for a couple more breaths, lift higher, right? Like your quads are getting like a quarter, like that little micro movement higher toward the sky as your feet and your arms push down. And on an exhale, slowly lower, one vertebra at a time, right? Your upper and then your middle. And then your low back comes down. Take your feet away from your hips a little bit and rock your knees side to side. Come back to center. Okay, good. And then we're going to do it one more time. So bridge pose, if you want to do a wheel pose, go ahead. For wheel, if you do want to try, your hands come out wide and you'll start to point your fingers towards you with the heels of your hands away, but point your fingers more wide even. So they're more going toward the long edges of your mat than your feet. From here, if you're coming up, lift your hips and then come to the crown of your head first. Really pull your shoulder blades together. If it feels better now, you can spin your hands more back and lift up. Squeeze your leg muscles wherever you are, any back bend you're choosing. You want to squeeze those muscles in the back side of you so that the front of you can open. If you're in wheel, drop your head heavy. If you're in bridge, keep your neck neutral. Wherever you are, really, no looking around. One more inhale, lift up, even your heels can lift up. And then exhale slowly all the way down. Remember, upper, middle, lower back. Bring the soles of your feet together and let your knees open wide. This is Supta Baddha Konasana, reclining butterfly. Bring your arms over you on the floor behind you. Tuck your shoulder blades if you need to at all, adjust your back. Take your hands behind you. Bring the bottoms of your feet to the mat. I should say fingers behind you, elbows bent. And then feet to the mat, or take your shins parallel to the ground for a little more challenge. Lift your head and shoulders. We'll do a couple crunches. So just kind of slowly lowering, don't let your head go all the way down, and then come back up. So if you want to add more challenge, it's a little more like pulses, right? Keeping your upper back off the mat as much as possible. That little bit of discipline. Discipline is the cornerstone to freedom. I heard that once, right? Somebody who doesn't like being told what to do. Like, how is that freedom? Right? Do what you want to do and stick to it. All Right, knees toward your chest, rock on your spine, forward, back, side to side, whatever you'd like. To happy baby, knees wide, and then reach for the outsides of your feet. If you can't reach your feet, you could also hold your ankles. And push your back flat. This is not a tailbone lifted pose. You want as much of your spine, your tailbone pushing down. Stay or extend your legs, get that straddle stretch in. Okay, and then bring your knees towards your chest and slowly begin to rock and roll. Okay, come all the way up. And then from seated, we're going to come into our double pigeon pose, which I think maybe we even did this last time. But what you'll do is bring your, let's say your right shin forward. So it's parallel to the short edge of your mat, or it's just like a 90-degree angle as much as you can from your thigh to your shin. And then your foot too, flex your ankle, that Achilles extended. And then your left foot's going to come over and either rest on your right knee. If you've got more flexibility, go past it. Flex both feet. And then we start to stretch the outside of the hip. So I've got tight hips here. I've got a lot of space. You may not. What you'll do is sit up even taller, really ground your sit bones. And then if you'd like, keep your sit bones down. You can start to walk your hands forward and drop your head. Breathe into your hips here. Yeah, right. Who you are at your core. And keep thinking about it like, think of like a really good friend or family member that if they showed up, you would be so excited to see them. Yeah, like what if you were that excited to see yourself? Right. And the discipline is taking this time, whatever it looks like, yoga or being outside, just doing something that makes you feel good. Right. There's the discipline is the cornerstone to freedom. That makes sense to me. And slowly come on up. Bring the bottoms of your feet to your mat or the floor, wherever it is, and then take your shins side to side. Excuse me, Addie. It's gonna open in there. And then switch opposite side. So now what is it going to be? Your left leg forward, I believe. Let me scoot back so you can see. Yeah, and flex that foot. Oh, and try to get that 90 degrees from your thigh to your shin. Up and over we go with your right foot. Option to go more to the right, to the left, I guess it would be. And then from sit bones, we begin to come forward if you would like. Holy moly. Here I am. A couple moments here to breathe and be. Relax your shoulders, your jaw. Relax your expectations. And then slowly come on up. This time, bring the soles of your feet together. Come to a butterfly pose. So bring your heels as close to your hips as you can and then scoot your hips towards them. Yeah, really draw your knees down wide, even a little flutter. So we just kind of crossed our hips open, stretch the outsides. My hope here is to get a little more kind of opening here, the opening of your hip angle. Shoulders back, and a couple slow neck rolls. Drop your ear towards one shoulder, and around you go. We're in the home stretch here, guys. Just a little bit more. Other way. And then back up. Bring the soles of your feet to your mat and lift your chest up so that your heart comes through your thighs. And then we're going to take a twist from here. So feet hips distance, take your right hand behind you, reach your left arm up, and then take the outside of your left arm against the outside of your right knee. I think I'm on the right side, and really twist. Keep your feet parallel, so keep pushing your legs too, right? Keep pushing your feet down and move that hand back a little more to twist deeper. And then slowly come back through center and switch sides. Left hand down, right arm up. Get that length, and then keep that length as you twist open. Right, pushing out and pushing in to create even more energy to twist. And then release back through center. All right, slowly lower down onto your backs. Excuse me. Ooh, sorry. And bring your knees toward your chest. Squeeze up into a big ball. Bring your forehead towards your knees, even really squeeze in like you're a tiny little seed or a potato bug. Do you guys have potato bugs? And then release to Shavasana. Your final resting pose. Whatever you want that to be, legs long, arms out. If there's any other stretch you feel like your body wants, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, there's nothing left for you to do. Just create a space that feels good for resting for a few moments. And greeting yourself with loving kindness, with compassion. You can even use this time to talk to yourself, right? Like you would talk to a good friend. Just if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it. And that includes to yourself. Just a little bit longer if you want to stay where you are. Or kind of curl up on one side. All right, what are you saying to yourself right now? And then in the next couple breaths, slowly begin to push yourself up. Use that top arm to press up and come to seated. And close your eyes or soften your gaze if you want them open, and drop your hands down to your legs, your lap, or in prayer at your heart. And then actually take your hands to your belly, right? In kindness and gratitude, power of expression, right? Who you are at your core, and it's true power, right? Be kind, be grateful. Hands to prayer at your heart. If you had any other intention, one last inhale and exhale to be it, breathe it, send it out. And then inhale through your nose. Exhale out your mouth. Bring your thumb knuckles between your eyebrows. And together we bow. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for practice. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Feedback or questions for me, you can always reach out. You have my email in that calendar invite that Jill sends, beckyverner@gmail.com. And I just love doing this with you guys. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful week.